If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Lord, I'm one, Lord, I'm two, Lord, I'm three, Lord, I'm four, Lord, I'm 500 miles from my home. 500 miles, 500 miles, 500 miles, 500 miles. Lord, I'm 500 miles from my home. Not a shirt on my back, not a penny to my name. Lord, I can't go home this away, this away, this away, this away.
Robert John Duff, Bobby Snow White Beach, Birdman, Big Red, 212, Uncle Jed, Duff, Duffa, Bobby Jack's Gingerbread Man, Uncle Bobby Papa, Mr. Telephone Man. Dad. We are a family that takes joy in the art of naming. We name cars, plants, appliances, you nickname it. It's directly due to our inherited Duff wit that we must find the humor in the mundane, the victories, and the dark times. Dad only recently and reluctantly started using a walker, so he dubbed it Harold. My earliest memories include my newlywed parents addressing each other by their pet names, Emmett and Boris, the famous clowns. When we were kids, they had great parties with a bunch of other clowns with silly nicknames, and we would fake Irish step dance while Tommy Makeup and the Clancy brothers played over and over, so loud that the 70s speakers buzzed with the beat. And so we were raised by a couple of clowns, which explains a lot. And it's my honor as the eldest child under the big top to eulogize our hero, which is not easy. I could never fit all the stories, the 47 years in the telephone company, his army days, but I'm going to just speak a little bit to our family. And I also would like to thank all the people that helped us in these last couple of weeks. And my Uncle Billy and my Aunt Lee were here, and we were blessed for that. And I just want to sort of give a shout out to my Aunt Blondie, who you're here, Auntie Blondie, and Auntie Peggy, and all the Southern crew. You're all here with us. He grew up in Milton, the son of a longshoreman. They did not have material wealth, but they did have an angel for a mother, or at least that's how he described her. The only time I ever heard Dad truly sob was when she died. I was only 4, but I'll never forget that strange sound filling our house in Weymouth. And I remember Grammy, her gorgeous smile, the candy dish on the kitchen table, the fragrant lilac bushes lining the path to Cunningham Park, where all my nieces and nephews ended up playing, and the little bridge on Fuller's Lane that I thought was the bridge over troubled waters because he loved that song. They were a tribe of 6 poor kids in a rich town, each one charming and fierce. They learned about troubled waters when their sister Ginny died in a car accident when she was just a teen, and he carried her in his heart until the day he left us. The Duff kids were tough, and maybe the Duff wit was born out of tragedy or it was genetic, but when they were all together, especially inspired by Christmas Eve libations, us kids were captivated, if not enchanted, by the fast exchange of caustic jabs, insane stories, and occasional battles. But they loved each other. A quiet, strong love that wasn't perfect, but sincere. Peggy and her kids moved down to Charlotte. My Uncle Billy and Auntie Lee were down in Virginia. My dad, Auntie Blondie, and Uncle Eddie stayed up here. we are all beyond grateful that we got the chance to come together just a few years ago in a reunion. He graduated from Cathedral High in '57 and joined the Army soon after his partner in crime, his big brother Eddie, joined the Navy. Those two. I'm pretty sure they both lived to outdrink each other while trading dry jokes, so it made sense that they eventually bought a little bar in Fields Corner in Dorchester soon after I was born in '73. The Leedsville Cafe. Beer and a beating for $1. Far from fancy, but a whimsical dream come true for these Boston boys. We're gonna have to save those stories for the Venezia. And he definitely buried a piece of himself when he lost his brother Eddie. Okay, I need some help from the kids because we have what's called a puppa face, and I know you have masks on, but we all know what the puppa face looks like even under a mask. They've all mimicked him throughout. We all do it now. So if I could just get like a puppa face for these interesting fun facts about Beach. Feel free to join in. It's really easy. So here's a few interesting facts about Beach. He wanted to be a pilot, and for his 70th, my sister Carrie arranged him to fly a plane. I wasn't there, but if you saw the pics at Dolan, you know he experienced true joy that day. When he was a young man, he saved 2 old ladies from a fire. He was awarded a little plaque that he kept in his basement. I wish I had details, but every time I asked him, he said it was no big deal. He once ate a live bee that was trapped in our living room because we were scared of it. He wrote his prayers out on his pillow every night with his finger. He was tired of dealing with his teeth and had them pulled at the age of 40, rocking dentures for the next 40. That was the same year he ran the Boston Marathon and never ran again. He risked his life when he was a lineman by jumping on his flaming line truck and pulling his partner out of harm's way seconds before it blew up, and I saw the pics. That's not one of his exaggerations. He was a sucker for love songs, and his favorite was The Rose by Bette Midler. And at least 25% of any home we lived in was held together by black electrical tape. We all learned very young never to let go of your fork while you were eating because he would wash it and put it away before your next bite. So. And then he got hijacked. The year is 1970, and Dad keeps seeing this young raven-haired beauty around town, and when he sees her, she waves and says, "Hi, Jack." That went on for a little while, and Mom was so embarrassed when he told her his name was actually Bobby. They had their first date when he took her to see Love Story, and then he was embarrassed when he was nervous and asked the waiter to call over his potato. They got married in 1972, had me the following June, the twins the following July, that's right, 13 months, God love them, and their son 5.5 years later. Mags, Soph, Nora, Georgie Bear, Mrs. Salty, Harmony, Ginny Girl, Silent Bedelia, and Nikki Babe. You were what brought him the greatest joy, especially when his body couldn't move the way it wanted to. He genuinely enjoyed watching you kids do anything. Every time I talked to him, he was off to a play, a recital of softball, baseball, graduations, rowing, volleyball, basketball, always giving his full absolute love and attention, whether you were the star of the show or a mouse with no lines. Slamming homers or catching butterflies in the outfield. That was Papa. He used to throw us in the back of his car on Sunday mornings when we were kids and drive as fast as he could around corners to Dunkin' Donuts when we were in the way back of the station wagon, like smacking our heads against the side, and like we would be standing up in his friend's VW Bug, like with our heads out while we're driving. But for some reason, you kids, he's had like sleepless nights over whether or not you had socks on. And then coming into the family, well, before then, is T-Rex, Rick, and Jennifer O'Denny. And Jer Bear. All the Jer Bears. Okay. I was always my dad's favorite.
Yeah, that's not true.
Okay, you're right, Rocco. That's a lie. It was always you, Perry.
Oh, really?
Perry Berry. Burnout. Sorry, Conrad. I couldn't understand that as a kid, but believe me, I get it now. You and me, we both share a lot. We're both nurses. We love running. And we both know what it's like to have a beautiful mom and look like your dad. You, like Dad, are raising 4 kids. They're close in age. You both start out long stories to make a long story short, I fear as we get older you might start showing us long cuts. That was my dad's version of a shortcut, except longer and more complicated than the way you were going to go, so he could show off his dense knowledge of the Boston streets. You worry like he does. We had fire safety meetings growing up. He made us take off our necklaces at night so we didn't choke, and he was once really seriously, genuinely concerned that 2 turtles had clicked their shell together and made a spark and set off some fireworks. So, and you think the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse maybe at the bar down the street every time it rains. But like him, you listen with all your heart. And when you talk to Dad, he was right there. You could tell him anything, and you do the same for me. Your worry is the ultimate expression of compassion. Neither of you ever took care of someone half-heartedly. It's part of what makes you Nurse Walsh. Your patients are safe and respected, and you hold that part of Dad. Abe the Great, Mrs. Eyes. Like Dad, you are fiercely loyal to those you love. Remember when Dad and Uncle Eddie drove up to Vermont when you were vacationing with your friend just because you wanted to come home? An all-night round trip, and they were genuinely excited to go save you. Mom and Dad sold their longtime home in Milton last August. When I heard they needed a place to stay, I dropped my phone in the toilet and I just didn't answer my door for a couple of days. But you took them in, no questions asked. And when a few months turned into almost a year and then something about a virus, you handled it like you would have. And like him, you're always down for a spontaneous adventure. You rarely buy anything flashy, like your car. And especially for yourself, you value the dollar and how hard you worked for it. I hope that by having coffee with him every morning for 30 years, he didn't influence you to start also stealing sweet and low from restaurants. That's not the future. You would never give up on a friend. I've heard a few even changed their phone numbers and one moved out of state, but you track them down. Your loyalty is part of what makes you Mrs. Manning, and the kids you teach know you're not giving up on them, and you hold that part of Dad. Michael, Stinky, Buddy, Stinkfoot, anything but Mike. You are now our patriarch, and you may not have his red hair or hair, but thankfully you carry his fire and also thankfully I've never really been on the other end of it, but his sense of humor. You are truly the only person I can unleash my darkest jokes on, and I know that you're not only right there with me, but you're probably going to top it. You work hard for your family, and you play hard when you need a break, and you are his son. He loved you so much. You guys always cracked me up with the dude handshake, and I could see how much he just wanted to squeeze you. But you guys had this passionate, unspoken, cool telephone guy, unsecret handshake thing going on, so he instead bought you and your friends the most ridiculous snacks and stored them in the sneaky closet under the stairs. It looked like Cheech and Chong's pantry. Dad was a lover, not a fighter, but like you, he would protect his family, even if it meant sacrificing his own life. I see that in you. You have his stern, relentless guidance that only required that we try our best. And I see you make even the small sacrifices, like playing boring games when you've worked all day. And it reminds me of Dad playing catch with you after work until you couldn't see the ball. You never seem to tire of it, and your fire is what makes you a great dad. I'm sure you're good at being a telephone man, but I know where your heart is, and you hold that part of Dad. And Mom. Marie, J5. You were his best friend in his heart. You carried his 4 children, his burdens, his secrets. You loved each other for 50 years. You ate, drank, and danced your way through Scotland, Ireland, and Italy. You had great times in Algonquin and made beautiful memories on the vineyard. So many fabulous years in Pompano. Yet these past few painful, precious weeks taught us that home is wherever the people you love are. And Dad was always home when he was with his family. I know you wanted more time with him. I did too. The last day we were at the Brigham, he asked to see some pics from his 80th birthday. And we were looking through them, and he had his interest about flat Parkinson's face. But his eyes were shining down at all the pictures from that day. But when he saw the pic of you, he stopped and made me zoom in. And he looked like young Boris. It broke through the Parkinson's. You were his everything. And then there's me. Erin the Heron, Mamacita, Black Widow. Carrie, there's a Snapple bottle filled with rosé in my purse. Would you be a dove and pass it to me? Mom, I'm just kidding. It's Chardonnay. She can't hear me. Don't worry about it. I've been thinking about this. I definitely have the animal thing. I mean, I have, 2 dogs. My husband, I have 2 dogs, 5 chickens, and I've rescued a 27-year-old turtle, and now I have 2 Russian tortoises. I've saved a lot of birds. I thought a lot about it, and I think what I hold most might be the darker, more poetic side, and that is his, at times, unbearable perception of the suffering around him. And that is part of life. He taught me to help when I can and let go when it's a waste of energy. And that's the only reason I was able to let him go, because he needed to, and because it was his time to go home. And though it's crazy to imagine me without you, and I miss you so much already, you taught me that I'll be okay, and that this too shall pass, and thank you for that quiet wisdom. So, other than that, how'd you like the play, Mrs. Lincoln? He'd tell you where the dog died. Land the plane, Marie. Here's your hat, what's your hurry? What's your beef? Wrap it up. I'll take a case of scotch and a small 7-Up. Hi-ho! That's my favorite. Good night, Irene. Good night, sweet papa. See you on the other side, gingerbread man. Rest easy, Big Red. I love you, Dad.
Upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I?
You're getting all kinds of kisses.
And me. Oh.
Died of cancer.
Oh.
And there's me. No, that's my sister Ginny. She got killed in a car wreck.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's awful.
Yeah. And there's Alice, and my sister Peggy. And there's me. And there's my brother Billy. My Billy's about 25, 45. And that's it.
How old are you?
80.
You don't look 80. You're lying.
Oh, I'm not.
Really? Damn. I don't know. Life is weird, huh?
Life is weird.